My name is Alice Bennett, and I'm 32. I work as a web designer in the medium-sized city of Oakhaven. Life had been fairly routine, but that evening felt like the dawn of something significant. I couldn't stop grinning as I surveyed the dimly lit bistro. Everything felt just right. The floral centerpieces, the soft instrumental music, the aroma of baked bread. It was our engagement celebration. After 5 years together, Liam and I were finally moving forward. In just 3 months, we'd be married. Liam stood beside me, as tall and comforting as always, his hand gently on my lower back. We met 5 years prior when he joined the tech department at the advertising agency where I worked. We connected during a team-building weekend, and things progressed naturally. He was thoughtful, reliable, and intelligent. We had built a life on mutual respect, trust, and shared dreams. Our closest friends and family were there that night to celebrate our engagement. I scanned the room and saw many familiar faces smiling back. Colleagues, old university friends, Liam's parents, and even some distant cousins. And, of course, most of my own family was present. My parents, Eleanor and Robert Bennett, sat at a front table. Their smiles seemed strained, almost artificial. My younger sister, Olivia, was also there, idly scrolling on her phone as if forced to attend. Probably her 4th phone this year, knowing her history. We were never very close, and that distance had only increased. Still, I dismissed the awkwardness. That night wasn't about old family issues. It was about love, commitment, and a new beginning. Or so I believed. Eleanor rose and softly tapped her champagne flute with a spoon. The sound echoed through the room, and conversations quieted as everyone looked her way. "Could I have everyone's attention?" she asked with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "First, I want to congratulate my wonderful daughter Alice and her amazing fiancé Liam. I wish you a marriage filled with love, joy, and happiness." There was polite applause and a raising of glasses. Liam squeezed my hand under the table, and I smiled at him, feeling grateful. But then my mother spoke again, her tone suddenly colder, more deliberate. "I also have an important announcement," she said, placing her glass down. "After discussing it with Robert, we've decided to give Alice's $50,000 wedding fund to Olivia instead." The room fell silent. I blinked, sure I'd misheard. A soft laugh escaped me as I looked around, expecting others to join in. "That's funny, Mom," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "But that money is mine. I'm not giving it away." Eleanor's smile vanished. Her expression hardened, lips forming a thin line. "This isn't a joke, Alice," she said sharply. "Your sister is getting married shortly after you, and she needs the money more." A rush of heat went to my face. My stomach tightened. "What are you talking about?" "That's my money, Mom. You and Dad gave it to me. It's in my account." "Sweetheart," she said, her voice falsely calm, "you have a good job, and so does Liam. Olivia and her fiancé are struggling. She deserves a beautiful wedding too." My hands started to shake. I stood up, trying to steady myself. "We've already planned our wedding with that money. We've been careful and responsible with it. We even want to use some for a down payment on a house. You can't just take it." Olivia suddenly pushed back her chair and stood up, nearly spilling her drink. "Don't be so selfish, Alice," she snapped. "You could have offered to share it ages ago. You know I need it more." I turned to her, jaw tight. "This isn't about need, Olivia. It's about what's fair. I planned. You wasted your own money, and now you expect me to just give you mine." "She lives frugally," my mother retorted. "She doesn't have much, and her fiancé is trying his best. You've always had more." "I've always worked harder," I replied, crossing my arms. "I followed the rules. I saved. I planned. I don't care how you frame it, I'm not giving you my money." Eleanor's face turned red. The tension in the room was thick. Liam placed a hand gently on my arm, trying to soothe me, but I wouldn't back down. Then, in a moment that seemed to last forever, my mother stepped forward and slapped me hard across the face. The sound echoed through the restaurant. My head snapped to the side. My cheeks stung, and tears welled up instantly, not just from the pain but from the shock. The room went completely silent. No one moved. Even Olivia looked stunned. I slowly turned back to my mother, my voice low but firm. You don't get to hit me just because I said no. A sharp intake of breath came from a nearby table. Then I heard it, the quiet voice of a server near the bar speaking into a phone. Yes, hello, I need to report an assault. It just happened at the Gilded Spoon. Within minutes, the sound of sirens approached. The guests remained quiet, many glancing at me while others stared awkwardly at their plates. I stood silently, still processing what had just occurred. My cheek throbbed, but the emotional pain was worse. Liam stood beside me, his jaw tight, while my father quietly pulled Eleanor aside. Moments later, 2 officers entered. One approached our table and asked if I was the one assaulted. I nodded quietly. A server stepped forward and described the slap, explaining how Eleanor had struck me in front of everyone. Eleanor tried to defend herself, saying it was a family matter, but the officer calmly stated that public assault, regardless of relationship, was a criminal offense. The officers asked if I wanted to press charges. My heart pounded, but my voice was steady. Yes, I do. They arrested Eleanor right there. As the officers led her out in handcuffs, I saw Olivia staring at me in disbelief, as if I were the villain for standing up for myself. My father followed them out silently. The room remained still. Liam held my hand the entire time. Later that night, after speaking with my lawyer, I officially filed a report and pursued charges. Eleanor was released on bail the next day, but the legal process had begun. Weeks later, we were back in court, not about the money, but the slap. Eleanor stood before the judge, who reviewed the witness statements and security footage. The evidence was clear. She was found guilty of misdemeanor assault and sentenced to a $1,500 fine, mandatory anger management, and 4 months of probation, with the option of a 20-day suspended jail sentence. I watched her avoid my gaze. When the judge asked if I had anything to say, I stood, met my mother's eyes, and said clearly, I didn't expect this, but no one is above the law. After the courtroom drama, I hoped for calm, but I was wrong. The slap and arrest only widened the family divide. Eleanor didn't contact me, Olivia blocked me, and my father remained silent. But more was coming. 2 weeks after the engagement party, I found a thick envelope from Miller & Zoy's in my mailbox. Inside was a legal notice. My parents were suing me for the $50,000 fund, claiming it was only for tuition and I'd misused it. I initially laughed in disbelief. The money was legally mine, in a custodial account since I was 18. At 20, I had full control. My parents told both Olivia and me we could use our funds as we wished once we were adults. The difference was I was careful and practical. I used some for my state university, covered the rest with grants, and let it grow. I always planned. Olivia, however, went to a private college, dropped out after 2 years, then used the rest to start a clothing boutique that failed in 6 months. She wasted her savings on branding and a launch party. When it failed, she only had a luxury SUV she'd bought impulsively. Now, because her money was gone, she and my parents wanted mine. I hired a sharp attorney named Simone Hayes. After reviewing my documents, she said, "They don't have a case. The account was a gift with no restrictions. Any verbal agreement won't hold up." I nodded, relieved but angry. "Why this?" I asked. Simone shrugged. "Some people would rather pull you down than admit their mistakes, especially when protecting someone else." I realized what I faced. Not just a legal battle, but years of favoritism and imbalance. My mother wasn't just after my money. She was covering for Olivia's failure by making me pay. The following months were exhausting. The lawsuit consumed my time and energy. There were emails, filings, and hearings. Each time I saw my parents and Olivia in court avoiding my gaze, I was reminded it wasn't just a lawsuit, but betrayal. Olivia looked smug, confident she'd get the money I'd protected. During one tense session, she testified that the fund was only for college. My lawyer asked, "Did you use all your funds strictly for tuition?" Olivia hesitated. "Not all," she mumbled. Simone nodded. "In fact, you dropped out and used the rest for your business and an SUV, correct?" Olivia's face tightened. "That's irrelevant." "But it is relevant," Simone continued. "If there were strict conditions, Why were you allowed to use it for other things without objection? Olivia had no answer. I sat quietly, heart pounding but steady, as the courtroom listened. It was all coming out. My parents' favoritism, Olivia's irresponsibility, their attempt to hide her failures by punishing me. Outside court, Liam was my rock. He attended every hearing and reminded me that standing firm mattered. But it was hard. Between legal fees and stress, it felt like my wedding plans were disappearing. We delayed things. I lost sleep and cried, but I never gave up. This fight wasn't just about money. It was about respect and accountability. Just when I thought things couldn't worsen, they did. I was home reviewing vendors when my cousin Megan called. "Alice, I'm so sorry about the canceled wedding," she said sympathetically. My heart skipped a beat. "What are you talking about?" "It's still on." There was a pause. "Your mom called me last week. She said you and Liam broke up because he cheated." My jaw dropped. Within the hour, I got more calls from confused friends and relatives. Someone had even sent fake emails pretending to be me, saying it was off. I checked my sent folder and found nothing, meaning someone made a fake account. I was stunned. I immediately thought of Olivia. I had no proof, but the pattern was clear. The sabotage had become personal. I called Aunt Susan, my mom's sister, one of the few who hadn't taken sides. "I was about to call you," she sighed. "Your mother's been saying you're lying about Liam, that you're unstable, and the wedding was never happening." I leaned against the wall, exhausted. "Why is she doing this?" I asked. "She's protecting Olivia," Aunt Susan replied gently. "She always has, even when she shouldn't." "I love Olivia, but your mom is enabling her and now dragging you through the mud." The betrayal was profound. My own mother was trying to ruin my reputation. Liam came home that evening and saw my face. "What's wrong?" he asked. I showed him the fake emails and told him about Megan's call. He was furious but not surprised. "Your sister just contacted me too," he added grimly. "She said she had proof you were cheating and sent photos." I stared in horror. He showed me poorly edited images of a woman with my face pasted on another body. It was obviously fake but upsetting. Liam shook his head. "Of course I didn't believe it, but my parents saw them. Your family is trying to destroy everything." We decided to act. We hired security for the wedding and gave them photos of Eleanor, Robert, and Olivia, instructing they weren't allowed in. I hated this, but I wouldn't let them ruin anything else. The wedding morning, I felt excitement and dread. Liam and I chose a beautiful outdoor venue near Oak Haven. Not extravagant, but elegant and personal. White chairs faced a flower-covered arch. I stood in the bridal suite, adjusting my veil as guests arrived. My stomach churned with nerves. We had 2 security guards at the entrance with strict instructions. Liam and I had reviewed everything, but I couldn't relax. Around 2:15 there was a knock. A guard entered, lowering his voice. "Ms. Bennett," he said, "we've detained a young woman trying to enter through the back. She matches the photo, your sister Olivia." My heart pounded. "Was she alone?" I asked. "Yes," he said, "but she had a tote bag with a large can of blue paint." My breath caught. The dress, the venue, the guests. She planned to ruin it all. Rage, sadness, and disbelief overwhelmed me. "Do you want to press charges?" the guard asked. "We can call the sheriff now." I hesitated. After everything, the slap, the lawsuit, the lies, the photoshopped photos, and now this, I had every reason to call the police. But it was my wedding day. I'd lost enough. "No," I said flatly. "Just make sure she's removed and doesn't return. Also check if my parents have tried to sneak in." He nodded and left. I sank into a chair, trying not to cry. My best friend, Chloe, ironically, knelt beside me. "What happened?" she whispered. I looked at her, my voice shaky. "Olivia tried to sneak in with paint. She was going to destroy everything." Chloe's eyes widened, then narrowed with fury. "You know what? You win," she said firmly. "They couldn't stop your happiness, so they tried to ruin it. But you stopped them. You stood your ground. Now go marry Liam. You deserve this." I wiped my tears, took a breath, and stood. My Uncle David, my dad's brother, walked me down the aisle. As I entered the garden, I saw Liam waiting under the arch, his eyes on mine. The world disappeared. The betrayal, the court dates, the tears, the pain, it all faded. Today was about our love. The ceremony was beautiful. We exchanged vows of strength and loyalty. When the officiant announced us married, the guests applauded. For the first time in months, I felt light and free. The reception was perfect. There was laughter, music, and heartfelt speeches from our supportive friends. Chloe gave a toast that made me cry happy tears. Liam and I danced and celebrated. Nothing else mattered. Everyone commented on the beautiful venue and our happiness. Some guests knew bits of the drama but respected our silence. One aunt whispered, "I'm so proud of you for standing your ground." Her words stayed with me. As the night ended, Liam and I slipped away under the stars, running through rice thrown by our friends. We drove off, grinning. I looked back at the venue. My sister had tried, but she failed. Our honeymoon was wonderful. 3 peaceful weeks in a quiet coastal town, far from Oakhaven. No courtrooms, no arguments, just sun, waves, and Liam. I finally relaxed. When we returned, I felt ready to move on. We focused on our apartment and future. Weeks later, I saw my cousin Sarah at the market. After a hug, she asked, "Did you hear about Olivia's wedding?" "We're not talking," I replied. "Your parents took out a loan," she said. "It's at the Grand Ballroom downtown. Very lavish, with a chef from out of state." I laughed quietly. Of course, they were going all out for Olivia. "Are you going if she invites you?" Sarah asked. "She tried to ruin my wedding," I said flatly. So no invitation came. I later heard that some relatives declined Olivia's wedding invitations due to how I'd been treated. Either way, the shine had worn off for Olivia and my parents. Liam and I used the money as planned. We had our dream wedding, and the rest went towards a down payment on a lovely condo outside the city. Our mortgage was manageable, and we were building equity. Our home was small but ours, built with hard work. Life settled into a rhythm. We decorated our condo, adding shelves and wedding photos. One Saturday, Liam struggled with a dresser. "Who will be our first guest?" he asked. I paused. My mind went to my parents. Maybe they'd apologize. Maybe Olivia would take responsibility. But I wasn't hopeful. "Whoever it is," I said, smiling, "they'll truly care about us." Holidays passed with no contact. My birthday was quiet. I didn't hear from my mother. But I remembered everything and the pain lessened. Liam asked if there'd ever be peace. "Maybe someday," I said, "but it'll take more than an apology. It'll take change, and I don't see that happening soon." Olivia's wedding came and went. It was extravagant, but some family members skipped it. The massive loan my parents took out became known. They'd invested everything, trying to pretend the past year hadn't happened. But it had, and people remembered. As Liam and I settled into marriage, I realized family is who supports you and respects your peace. I lost some, but gained a home, a supportive husband, and true friends. Most importantly, I still had myself. I didn't give in. I protected what I built out of dignity. The money helped us buy a future, but it really gave us freedom from manipulation and guilt. I stood up for myself, and I won in life. Thanks for watching this story. If you enjoyed it, please like and comment. Subscribe for more real-life stories. See you next time.